something unusual.
Over 40 years ago, Kim and I embarked on a ministry journey that has now become a global network through the power of the internet. As part of this pioneering work, we are gathering people from all over the world to worship together, grow in our faith, and inspire hope through an uplifting message. We are dedicated to reaching out with God's message of hope and love to all without discrimination or judgment. We invite you to join our House of Destiny free membership that allows you to connect with members from around the world. Through our prayer wall, you can post your requests and have others join us in prayer. It's so powerful when the saints gather and believe for a breakthrough. We invite you to join today. Simply click the online church login and sign up. Partnerships are vital to our global outreach, enabling us to take the love and hope of Jesus Christ to those who need it most. Our Boots on the Ground Partnership Program physically ministers to those in desperate situations all over the world. The Israel Partnership furthers Kim's legacy of outreach to Israel and Jewish people worldwide. We invite you to become a partner today. We are here for you, and we have worked hard to provide the resources and tools to help you grow in your faith. Join us today and be part of a community that inspires hope, brings restoration to life, and often healing from the past. Together, we can make a difference, and we thank you for your ongoing support.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're back again. We've done it. Now I've got things I have to do. As you know, I am driving the ship again. So I'm going to go in here. Do I have to scroll down? How do I scroll? Oh, my goodness gracious. I have to put a little thing that's scrolling at the bottom. There we go. Ah, it works. You see, I'm getting better at this. And now if I want to see what you're saying, I'm going to have a look there. Hello, everybody. Okay. Let's see. Who do we have? Dayton, Ohio. My dad used to minister there quite a bit. Pennsylvania. Oh, Pennsylvania. You know, Amanda Grace has a new parrot she went and got. And I think she said she drove to Pennsylvania to get it. I believe that was what she said. She's always letting me know when she gets new animals because she knows how my mother and I also love animals. My mother has a whole zoo here, and in outside of Nashville where we live. So I see AA strumming. Welcome, Jacksonville, Florida. Hi, Tom. And Detroit, Florida, North Carolina. My goodness. I got my sister. My sister's here. Hey, Jacqueline. She's in the chat. Okay, so that's there. And then I also have Rumble's chat. Now, I've got all your little chats because we're on 3 different places right now. Nobody's been watching on Twitter yet because I don't think we've really made too big of a deal out there. But I am posting on my little Twitter page. Wait, hang on a minute. I'm going to play with this. There we go. I'm on Twitter. Oh, it worked. You see? That's how you follow me there. And also, if you want to follow my mother, Jane, she is on Telegram. There it is, the information. Find her because she's very busy there. That's the place she goes. She's not big on social media, but she does go on Telegram, and that's the one she uses. And she follows, I don't know if you guys know of Amir Sarfati. If you don't, you should have a look and follow him. So I was going to have Trey Smith on with me today. I still don't have the Rumble people. I haven't said hello to you, Rumble. Let me say hello. What's happening? Where is it?
There's these 2 here.
Oh, there's only 2 of you. Well, welcome to the 2 of you who've commented. Anybody else?
Oh, wait, there's more.
I was going to say, there's 204 people. There's no way 204 people have been quiet. Okay. So, he's going to get me another way to look at your chat there on the Rumble, because you guys are just as important as the YouTube people. Actually, we have such a lovely following, and we're growing the channel so well on Rumble. We were a little bit late to the game on the Rumble side, but glad to see you all there. Hello, everybody on Rumble. We've got my eyes are so terrible. Georgia, Washington State, New York, Rockland County, Maryland, Michigan again. Listen, you guys, my dad prophesied 9/11 from Michigan. And what an interesting, well, because it's not just that he prophesied something from there, he prophesied 9/11 from there. And this is, was really where we started to see that change in extremist Islamic terror organizations doing outrageous things. And I know there's a history of that, but really when that 9/11 happened, it was a very big change, of a shaking. And it wasn't just because of how horrifying it was much deeper. And I think the events much more, there we go. There we go. That's good. From England. Oh my goodness. So how are you guys doing over there in England? I have a cousin who is in Kent. I was on the phone with her the other day after I saw all the protests, and her husband works in London, and I was saying, you guys okay? Everything all right? They are all right. Okay, I've got the... Have we posted on Twitch? AA Strumming is asking. No, we haven't used Twitch yet. We haven't branched out to that. I don't actually know what it is, honestly. I'm really not too much of a social media person. I do things on Twitter, which is now X. And I always have since Twitter came out, and only because I liked being able to go to a source to see what they themselves are saying. And I know all social media is that way, but Twitter is very easy for that kind of thing. Like when Trump was president and he was still on Twitter, it was very easy to just go over to his Twitter page. And even before any of this, when Twitter first started, I was always kind of, and I didn't post really, but it was a place I would go to look what were people saying. It was just easy to see. So over the years, I did do the Facebook, Instagram thing, but I don't like them. I don't like them, and I left them. But I stayed on Twitter. And then it was only after that all the stuff happened with Twitter. So I'm glad I stayed there. So if you do want to follow directly and see what I'm saying directly, I do sometimes have them post on the ministry pages. And I do have official pages on Facebook and Instagram and things, but I don't have it on my phone. I'm saying, say this or say that. People tell me if there's comments and things. But really, and Telegram is an app, someone's asking. You can download Telegram, and it's also kind of it's a bit different. I've found it difficult to get used to using, but once you do, it's very resourceful. Also, it's supposed to be encrypted, but I don't know about any of that. Middle Tennessee, Moonchild and Me. That's a good name. Okay, so I see there Angela Asco is in Middle Tennessee. I'm also in Middle Tennessee, so we're having the same weather. So I was supposed to have Trey Smith on today, and also Robert and Jamie Aggie from Banners for Freedom. I had planned to bring them here, but they are having an adventure, and I'm not even allowed to tell you what they're doing. But I can tell you I won't even tell you where they are. They're going to tell you. And I'm going to have them come next week, maybe next week or the week after. We'll see how their schedules are going. I knew they were going to be together, so I was going to try to get everybody in a few blocks on the screen here and see what they're saying. Mainly because Trey Smith has a couple. I want to say a new video, but it's actually I think 2 videos. And he looked at a lot of stuff my dad prophesied, and those will be coming out this week. So do go to God in a Nutshell this next week and see what Trey's put together there. It's very interesting. And so that's why I was going to have him come on. I was going to have him talk about it. But they are doing something together. And I believe the Flyover Conservatives are there too, and they're having a look at something, but I'm not allowed to say. So, but do have a look, because if we can get them on here next Sunday, you'll see it. We'll make sure we post on the social medias and let everybody know that Trey is coming. And so we'll hear from him next week. But this week, I have really been, oh my goodness, it's been quite difficult going through all of the social media and the news and what everybody's got something to say in regards to Israel. I'm certainly, we talked about this before, but it's the whole thing is so unfair. There's so many things that are so difficult in regards to this. It's not an easy thing that we're dealing with here. So many people are running around shouting things and they don't know what they're talking about. It was quite eye-opening to me to see how many people will speak against anti-Semitism and at the same time against the Jews. I'm so confused at these people's rationale. I try to say, okay, these, people don't know the Bible, they're not Christians, they don't know the Bible, they don't understand, they're deceived, that kind of thing. It's so much more than that. So I thought we'd have a look through, number one, what my dad prophesied, because he prophesied the rise and fall of a Fourth Reich. And so I wanted to share those with you today. I am kind of paying attention to your comments as well here, just so I don't miss you. I'm going to play those for you today. And I'm going to go in here and find which one I want to play you. Okay, I think I'm going to start in the Netherlands. And I think, was it the first time? I wonder. I actually can't remember. I'm pretty sure the Netherlands was the first time. So let's watch this. This is my dad in 2010. He was in the Netherlands and he saw the rise of a Fourth Reich. Now, after he's prophesied this, 2 years later, he sent me on a trip through Europe. He sent me to England. He sent me to France, Italy, to Poland. I went to Auschwitz, to the Birkenau concentration camp, where I met a survivor who just happened to be there and who warned me that this would possibly happen again. The Holocaust, she meant. And I, of course, at the time just felt that was so outrageous. How could that happen again? And as we look around the world today, and it is across the globe, people are marching in the streets, shouting, as you know, from the river to the sea, which means from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, Palestine will be free. Now, what do they mean it will be free? Because Gaza, the Israelis gave up Gaza, yet still provide electricity, water, food, internet to the region, because Hamas says that UN needs to do it, and they do not provide that for the people. So you have this thing being chanted en masse across the world, everywhere in the West, and people attacking Jews in America, attacking them. Much of this is beginning to look like the Third Reich looked, and so I thought to share with you today what my dad prophesied. So let's have a look at that first video. This is in the Netherlands, 2010. So let's go there. And then I will come back to you. I think I have to turn that little thing scrolling off the bottom, don't I? I don't? Okay, good.
And the Spirit of the Lord says, yeah, oh, Europe, yeah, divided Europe. Your sons and your daughters are dissatisfied, as was Martin Luther. This is the beginning, says the Lord, of a reformation. Watchmen on the wall have died. Oh, watchmen, watchmen, what of the night? Watchmen, what of the night? Watchmen, watchmen, what of the night? Watchmen, what of the night? It is says the watchman, but it is not. It is not. There is a storm brewing, says the Lord, but this is not an actual one. And God said there will be a great, massive fight. Just one war. One war. It shall manifest in 4 different countries. The beast of the east, who has said we will remove Christianity in total from Europe, America, Israel. We will remove their God and we will bring Allah. There is a storm brewing, but God says, I have already prepared the angels. I have already prepared an outpouring, and that which is dying shall suddenly come back to life. Russia, Africa, Sierra Leone, Africa, Italy, Germany, France, you made an alliance. You were an ally to the Third Reich. There is a 4th one arising from the east to take over your streets, to take over your children and remove Jesus. But the Spirit of God said, truth will prevail. A cause will not prevail. And the people will begin to arise from the streets. And I will manifest myself in whorehouses. I'll go to red light districts. I'll begin to take them from their place of pain and turn it into a place of rain, says the Lord. Come on. Come on. God said there's going to be a reformation. But this time, God said, I'll use Germany. I'll use Italy. Yes. I'll use Holland, the Netherlands. I'll use France. They will stand and they will stand against the Spirit. And that will be the countries that I'll begin a great reformation, and there will be an abolishment of the laws of men, and your young men and young women shall rise, 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 and shout, shout, shout.
Okay, so you see what he was picking up on there. Now, this is all the way back in 2010. I was taking notes while I was watching here. Okay, so he sees a reformation. Isn't that interesting for him to be seeing that? And he sees then the listing of the countries is important. Maybe not yet, but it will be as we see this play. I'm sorry, I'm getting used to this mic. I'm playing with it. The abolishment of the laws of men. You know, he prophesied about that quite a bit in this time period, but very important to remember this, because the laws of men are sort of at the center of how this is all being driven around. And so it's a very prophetic observation that obviously he was prophesying, but those, I would pay attention to those countries because he saw them resisting. So he sees the rise of a Fourth Reich. Now, what we're seeing in the streets are the pro-Palestinian people en masse. There's an infiltration here that cannot be ignored, not only into the countries, but into the minds of the youth. who are not being told the whole story, who are not being taught properly, and which is shocking. As we're here in 2023 to think that it would even be possible. And it goes back to me being in Auschwitz in 2012 when a survivor of that concentration camp told me this is coming again. She started to name off in particular Muslim countries, Middle Eastern countries, because of this undeniable rage, demonic rage that comes against particularly the Jews. But if you listen to them, if you listen to the people in these countries, they are including America, as Americans sort of cheer them on. And so the demonic confusion is there, and it is always in the guise of compassion. None of us want innocent children to ever be harmed. None of us want any of those things. But if you try to say you support Israel's right to defend themselves, to take out the tunnels that Hamas has under the ground in Gaza, which will be used against the Israeli citizens, they are asking the Israelis to basically commit suicide. And I know that the majority of the young people that are marching in the streets saying the things that they're saying don't understand. And I saw some videos actually over the weekend. I wish I could have pulled them for you. But I saw videos of people going into the streets of New York to some of these protests and saying, asking people questions. The one guy had a form that they would sign, and he started to list off Sharia law and how that would be. And okay, so you support this? Do you support this? Do you support a law against homosexuality in which it is punishable by death? And the guy he was talking to was a gay guy that was all anti-Israel, pro-Palestine. And he said, well, why are you even talking about that? He said, well, because that's part of what this is about. And he didn't realize, and sort of was taken aback. So a lot of these people just don't understand. They think they're sticking up for innocent lives, not understanding the way that all of that is functioning, and then to turn around and accuse Israel. And I understand that there's corrupt governments, okay, because we're dealing with a corrupt government in the United States of America now. I understand that leadership across the globe is corrupt. We do know that. And look, everybody in leadership in Israel is not perfect. There's definitely corruption. But this goes to a much deeper spiritual thing that is going on here. Someone here is saying the Americans are led by brainwashed youth at universities who are not educated in not only American history, but world history. They don't know. Thank you for saying that. It was B. Guardiola. That's absolutely right. Not selective educating. So what would be the goal of people to doing this? I haven't forgotten my scripture verse, by the way. I'm just waiting to show you. So I'm going to mirror my Twitter page for you guys right now. See if I can do this. There it is. Okay. This is my Twitter page. I just wanted you guys to be able to see it, and I'm going to scroll through it. What is that? You can just speak. It's okay.
Just click there.
Why?
Okay. Sorry.
No, I preferred it the way it was. That's better. I don't need to be seen. I want them to be able to see the screen. There we go. Sorry, guys. As you know, I'm still learning to drive this ship. I'm doing pretty well, though. I don't think I'm doing that badly. So I have this up here. This is on my Twitter page, and I posted this earlier. This is a picture from, I was there. This is at Birkenau, in Birkenau 1. And these are just some of the pictures from there. And I remember standing there and seeing that. So that is a real place. And I actually kept posting. But we're going to go through my Twitter page here. As you can see, this is Berlin. This is Berlin in 2023. That's Germany. As you can see, that's a lot of people. And let's keep going here, because now this here I want you to see. Can they hear if I play a video, right? I can just push play on it, but on here. Okay, I want you to listen to her. This is an Iranian girl. I'm going to start the video over. This is an Iranian woman who is giving some clarity here on how Iranian people feel. So I'm going to rewind that. Check this out.
As they are posing attacks on your free living democratic nation. The atrocity that we have been witnessing against women, children, babies, the elderly, people in a music festival, just you celebrating peace. The atrocity that is being celebrated today in London, in Paris, in Milan, all over America. The atrocity that is only anti-Semitic. Now we are witnessing here people talking about genocide, about ethnic cleansing, about hate on humanity. Where is their humanity? When they say from the river to the sea, they are chanting for genocide. The people of Iran are on your side, they're on my side, and they are on the side of humanity. So down with the Islamic Republic with Iran, down with Hamas, and down with Hezbollah, and women, let freedom! Shalom!
So I'm showing you that because my dad very specifically, well, for obvious reason I'm showing you, but my dad was very specific about the church, the underground church in Iran, and how God is moving there. We're just not seeing it. The same for China. He said the same for China. But as you can see, this woman represents, I think, how a lot of us feel right now in America, because we have been misrepresented by corrupt leaders. And Iran is an example of how bad that can get and how we don't want that. Now, this here, I also wanted to share today. Hamas is very clear about what they want for anyone who might be making excuses for them. I saw a video of a British woman the other day talking about how she's more frightened of Israel than she is of Hamas, and she believes Hamas would feed her and clothe her and care for her. And Israel is the one to be afraid of. And this is a British person. So I'm playing you this quickly. Let's have a look. This is Hamas leader finally speaking.
لذلك احنا لا نخجل من نقول ذلك بكل قوه. المصريين لازم نقدمها وحنقدمها مره ثانيه وثالثه، ومش هذا حتكون في اول مره، لا حتكون ثانيه وثالثه ورابعه، لانه احنا لدينا اصرار ولدينا قرار ولدينا امكانيات ان نقاتل وان نحارب، لكن كما قلت لك بدنا ندفع ثمن. نعم احنا مستعدين. معلش بقول لك بشكل واضح، احنا اسمنا شعب الشهداء ونفخر ان نقدم شهداء. احنا لا نريد ان نمس لا بالمدنيين ولا ان نلحق الاذى بهم، لكن اوقات لانه في تعقيدات في الميدان صارت في منطقه موجوده وكان هناك في احتفال وكان في سكان ومنطقه.
They didn't want to hurt anybody. They were just in the way. So they had to massacre thousands of people. So it's Israel's fault for all the pain, all the blood, for everything they do. Israel's fault. And they should have no blame for torturing children. So this is not them bombing areas that should have been evacuated where people are getting hurt. This is them going into people's houses and torturing and murdering and slaughtering them, yet people stand in the streets to support the people who committed those acts because, what do they call it? Colonization. So they got a problem with colonization. So Israel is now a colonizer. So all that the university professors have to say to the kids is colonizers. Oh, look how beautiful Mrs. Stone is. Let's just have a look. Isn't she lovely? I love the Stones. Those poor people have been through a lot. And I don't know if you guys heard about what happened to Jimmy Levy. His bag exploded on the airplane. And the media doesn't know quite how to define him. If you have a look, The mainstream media tried to identify me as many different things. A pro-Trump rapper. He's not a rapper. A conspiracy singer. I like that. A MAGA rapper. Again, he's not a rapper. He's a singer. A conservative hip-hop musician. A right-wing influencer. American Idol star. And I love what he says, but my only identity is in Christ alone. That's great. Go, Jimmy. But, that happening to Jimmy, all of us have been having kind of a difficult time with attacks, spiritual attacks that have been quite intense, more than normal. I'm sorry, you guys, if you're commenting, I can't see you right now, but I'm wanting to just scroll through. Isn't that pretty? I know I'm getting distracted very easily, but look how cool that is. And also, we've got, you guys must definitely check out Roger Stone's show. Okay, here, this is what I wanted you to see. This is the White House. And this was yesterday. Cat Turd says insurrection. The double standards of justice is just outrageous. I'm just scrolling through because I just played you that prophecy. And here you can see all of it. Now, this is more America because this was yesterday. But if you see, it's just everywhere. So I've been making sure to put up posts like this so we remember some of the people who died in Auschwitz. There was a little boy there. I met one of those survivors, and that makes a difference when you actually go to a place and you understand things. I've been to Israel. I've seen the way things are there. And I can tell you this, just the way the Iranians are trapped, just the way the Palestinians even are being used and trapped. Look at that. That was Washington, D.C. My dad was at the foot of the Capitol and sang that song in Washington, D.C., 1996, the same year he prophesied 9/11. God was having him prepare everybody. So I'm just, there's so many. As you can see, it's just people have come out all over the place against Israel. Can you believe it? You know that's there, but you don't really realize. Here's another one of these stories from Auschwitz. And I follow this because I've been to Auschwitz, so I can say I've been there. And that's, the Sam Bankman-Fried stuff. I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but my goodness, that's so bleeding obvious. So lots of politicians took money, and then that money was stolen from the people who were investing in the currency, whatever it was. Yeah, I've forgotten it now. His cryptocurrency. And now we'd like to know if those politicians who took stolen donations are going to give them back. Of course they won't. So anyway, that was a little look at my Twitter today. I might go back there in a minute, but I did want to show you that. And I'm going to turn that off. Come back to me again. All right, so now let me see what you guys are saying first. Since starting to pray or speak out for Israel here in the United Kingdom, I have been under spiritual attack with health problems and bullying at work. And I feel the two are connected. See, I'm feeling that too. And that's the way there was a number of people, within our circle, like the Reawaken America people and people in ministry. We've all really been dealing with a heavy spiritual attack. I mean, you've seen me trying to do this show every week. There's something every week. My eye's much better. If in case any of you are wondering, because I know last week I had to do it in my glasses, my eye. Last week it was my eye. Every week it's something. And so, Shirley Hill, it's sad. This is in the Bible, Amos chapter 1, right? Actually, I was going to read, let's do that. Let's do the Bible verse. We normally do that in the beginning, but today, okay, I'll remove that. Turn the scrolling off, and then we will go to the scripture verse. That way it won't interrupt. So let's have a look. Make sure I've got the first one up. Yes. Okay, so here's what the Bible has to say about Abraham and Isaac and what happened there. And also, we can't forget about Ishmael, which is where this is really the core thing that's happening here. But I do believe that this extremism within the Shia Muslim community is completely out of hand. But anyway, let's read today. This is the scripture verse that I chose, and it's actually more than one verse. It's a whole lot of verses. But let's read it. Came to pass after these days that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife. And they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide himself a lamb for burnt offering. So they went both of them together, and they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him, for now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold him, a ram caught in a thicket by his horns, a ram. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, In the mount of the Lord it shall be seen. And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the 2nd time, and said, By myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies, and thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. Okay. So how do I get away from here, buddy? Where? Just click it again. Oh, of course. There we go. I've done something else alone. So why did I read that to you? You know, there's a lot that goes back to what happened there in that story. You know, you noticed I kept shouting, the lamb, the ram, because if you notice in that verse, you know, Abraham is going to sacrifice his son. But in there he says, God will provide himself the lamb, which is a prophecy of Jesus who would come. And this is as a result of what happened there. And that covenant that was made there in between God and Abraham is an unconditional covenant. And so it's not like the 10 commandments. Those are conditional. You have to don't murder, don't take the name of the Lord your God in vain. And let me tell you something. We see a lot of that. Taking the name of God in vain is not, excuse me, my nose, my hair is tickling my nose, I think, is not, it isn't as simple as saying GD, you know, or one of those things. You shouldn't do that. But it's standing up in the name of God and saying it's him when it's not. And so you see, even on the side of the Muslims, this thing that causes these groups, and you'll see that there are, you know, people say, well, it's not all Muslims. Well, of course not. We understand there is a split within Islam. There's all these things that go on, just like it does in everywhere else. But it does all go back to that story. And if you remember, God promised Abraham a son, but they were getting old. And so he went to his servant, Hagar, who was an Egyptian woman, and impregnated her so that he could have someone in his line from him, a son. And that was the Ishmael. And, for me, we understand, of course, all of us understand that it goes back to this right here. If you read the Quran, I was looking in the Quran, and if you read in the Quran, it has the story the other way around, that Ishmael was the one that Abraham was going to sacrifice. He was the son, but he wasn't the only son. And you notice it keeps saying the only son. It says that because Sarah and Abraham were the union. Sarah and Abraham are the ones whose names changed. God put his breath in their names. And so it was through their line that it was meant for Isaac and then Jacob, who would become Israel. So the story is twisted in the Quran, and I disagree with that for many, many reasons. I'm not going to go into whole theologies now. But we do understand that this is where the core issue is. And cheering on the side of groups like Hamas, I'm really just completely overwhelmed by the thing. It's so, I'm trying to read your comments here too. It's so old, this dispute. And I've really been trying to pull back and look as high, I'll say to you often about zooming out on Google Earth and looking at the big picture. Like I've really tried to keep myself there to just stay sane through this, because I realize how much ignorance is out there and how easy it's been for the enemy to just twist and distort the minds of young people, especially. It's really more young people that you see out there, and if you try to ask them questions, just basic questions, they don't understand. They just want to be part of something, anti-colonialism. It's just been drummed into their brains. I was really, really annoyed with Harvard University. For any of you who saw what I had to say about that on Twitter, anybody who follows me on Twitter would have seen that. Okay, so I have talked for a stretch, and we did go through that verse. Let's see what you guys think. Oh my goodness. Someone's asking which. Okay, so I'm reading comments from YouTube and Rumble for the person that was asking that. I've actually got both up. So if I'm a little behind on one or the other, it's because I've got to watch that one and then watch that one. But I've got Rumble over there and I've got YouTube over here. So I'm trying to make sure I don't miss out on anything. Now I have another prophecy to play for you. And the next one I have to play for you is here. Turn that off. Okay. And should I turn the bottom off as well? Okay. So I'm going to play another prophecy for you. Now, this is from France. And okay, yes, let's go ahead and do that. And then I've got one more video to play with. And I want you to see this. This is my dad prophesying about the rise of the Fourth Reich from France. Let's have a look at that.
But Europe will be affected in the same way that Daniel was praying. There was a war in the Hebrides, Prince of Persia. There was a battle going on, as there is today. A war will take place. It shall be short-lived, because as France destroyed the power of invasion from the Middle East in the 7th century, so shall it rise up and destroy the invading forces of the beast of the East. There will be a second Reformation in Europe. God says, I will begin in France. All the tribes of the earth shall be affected by the sound. Christian, Jewish, Islam, Buddha, they shall hear Jesus. Jesus shall touch every tribe, every nation, every language, from the sound, from this place. It shall never end, and the battle shall be won. That word is Yeshua, 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 Jesus. But Europe
Mais en Europe,
will be affected
l'Europe sera affectée.
in the same way that Daniel was praying.
Et de la même façon que Daniel a prié,
There was a war in the heavenlies.
il y a eu une guerre dans les lieux célestes.
Prince of Persia,
Et le prince de la Perse,
there was a battle going on,
il y a eu une bataille qui a été,
as there is today.
comme il y a aujourd'hui.
And France
Et la France
shall join forces
va joindre ses forces
with Great Britain
avec la Grande-Bretagne
and some other nations.
et avec d'autres nations.
There will be a war.
Et il y aura une guerre,
It shall be a short war.
une guerre courte.
Hear me, please.
Écoutez-moi bien,
This war,
cette guerre,
and I'm not talking about a spiritual war,
et là je ne parle pas d'une guerre spirituelle,
a war will take place.
il y aura une guerre,
It shall be short-lived,
une guerre très courte.
because as France
Parce que comme la France
destroyed the power
a détruit le pouvoir
of invasion
de l'envahisseur
from the Middle East
et des envahisseurs du Moyen-Orient
in the 7th century,
dans le 7e siècle,
so shall it rise up
alors la France se lèvera
and destroy the invading forces
et elle va détruire aussi des forces qui,
from
vont
the beast of the
envahir,
east,
qui viendront de l'Est,
and they will overcome
et nous allons vaincre,
an agreement
et nous allons vaincre un accord
between Russia
entre la Russie
and Iran.
et l'Iran.
So, Kim, we don't want the war. Too bad.
Ah, je ne veux pas faire la guerre, tant pis.
There shall be. Now, don't get frightened.
Il y aura, maintenant n'ayez pas peur.
We have an enemy that wants to invade.
Nous avons un ennemi qui voudrait bien envahir
Take Christ out of Europe.
afin d'enlever Christ de l'Europe.
Sitting on the front row here
Ici, dans la rangée de devant,
is a pastor from the Netherlands
nous avons ici un pasteur de la Hollande
and a pastor from England.
et un pasteur de l'Angleterre.
They represent the soil
Ils représentent le sol,
and the territories.
la terre,
God is going to pour out His Spirit.
où Dieu veut répandre de son esprit.
Germany will be included.
L'Allemagne sera inclus,
Italy.
l'Italie.
There shall be a great move of the Spirit.
Il y aura un grand mouvement de l'esprit.
It is literally the next Reformation
C'est littéralement la prochaine réforme
that will come about
qui va arriver
because of reconciliation.
à cause de la réconciliation.
And the Fourth Reich
Et la quatrième Reich
shall be overcome.
sera vaincue,
For the hatred for the Jewish people
car la haine contre les Juifs,
and the people of Christ
contre le peuple de Dieu,
is causing demonic rage.
est en train de provoquer une rage
But
démoniaque.
God,
Mais Dieu
has made a declaration.
fait une déclaration,
One word
une
out of the
parole,
mouth of these people,
une parole qui sort de son peuple.
and the battle shall be won.
La bataille sera gagnée.
That word
Cette parole,
is Yeshua.
c'est Yeshua.
Jesus.
Jésus.
Jesus.
Jésus.
Say His name.
Dis son nom.
Say His name.
Dis son nom.
So, that prophecy, man. So over the years, I've played that prophecy so many times. I see your comments in here. Okay, so you noticed there, who's that? Holly. You said, wow, the French people are presently very concerned about Russia's advancement towards Europe. If you notice in that prophecy, he actually said that France would overcome an agreement between Russia and Iran. That's pretty remarkable for prophecy. So we see all of these things happening around us. I know everybody is, I mean, we're all pretty shaken up, and it's really polarized a lot. I saw somebody sit in there. It's cutting it down more and more of who is who. And I think it helps us also. We're having to look at the world in a new way now. And I think it helps us as far as who do we trust and who don't we trust, when as these things happen, as these things are happening, you can see where someone stands and where they don't stand, or if they're confused, or if they've been deceived. It's becoming easier and easier to see that exposing. And I think this is what my dad was prophesying about all that time. He kept talking about the exposure of the intelligence agencies, and of politicians of Baal, he called them. And as we look at everything going on around us with all of these politicians and how the war machine works and the military industrial complex, the way that Trump really disrupted a lot of things. So you saw that when Biden took office, he signed something like 40 executive orders reversing things that Trump had put into effect. So it's like a very obvious situation in which you can tell there was a plan that was obstructed by this unexpected president. Whether people like Trump or not, that is what happened. He was a trumpet. My dad prophesied Trump will be a trumpet. That was the first thing he ever prophesied about him, and that did happen. That is undeniable amongst all of the other stuff he prophesied. But I'm just saying that the very first thing of Trump was that. Okay, so it obstructed the situation, and then as we've gone through this experience, which has been just the wildest ride, you can see, okay, who stands with what, who's getting money for what, and our eyes have just been opened just more and more and more. But there's this thing in these people who are resisting us, and again, this is a demonic thing, who resist any kind of, it's so difficult to articulate it sometimes, because I don't want to come across as not caring about people in any way. And I've gotten so used to living in this world where you're attacked for things you don't mean, or you don't, well, it's completely the opposite most of the time. But the point is that we are able to see now, because of all of this, we can see, okay, these are the people who have been compromised, the people who are on the wrong side, whatever it is. And okay, knowing that and then complaining about it is not enough. So people are really trying to find ways in which to wake other people up, because we need that to happen in order for us to be able to accomplish anything. So it's been quite shocking to see how many people took to the streets against Israel. It was shocking. And so yes, this is right. The cult, they're on Rumble. I haven't forgotten you, Rumble guys. The cult of Baal is what we are up against in the political realm. That's right. And I wish you had the view that I had of the prophecies, because the way it's in my mind, like I can see very clearly. And a lot of you follow it and watch the prophecies, you know what I mean. But there my dad was in France. And he was talking about a reformation. And he even said, all of those religions, he said, Christian, Jewish, Islam, Buddha, all of them will hear Jesus. And that comes down to that's the big problem. And in that scripture verse I read you from Genesis 22 of Abraham and Isaac, he said, I will provide myself the lamb. But at the end, they didn't find a lamb to sacrifice. There was a ram that was caught, and they instead put the ram on the altar. And this was another prophetic reference to Jesus and why Jesus came. And it's so foundational to Christianity. And then when you look at the struggle in the world and you see what's going on, and you think of Abraham had a promise. It was a prophecy. It was a promise of the son. And then he went off on his own and tried to figure out his own way. And so he got the maidservant Hagar. She had Ishmael. And that story is very sad because you think of Hagar and Ishmael, and the child cried out from her. And, what is going to happen to us? And so it all goes back to that at the end of the day. And before I go today, though, I did contact Christy. Christy's does our Israel Update channel, and she's been so great keeping us all updated and informed about how all of this works. And so I was asking her, what is the main thing that she might want us to know about today? And she said the protests against Jews in the United States of America and in Europe are basically higher than before World War II. So this is an across the board. We are concerned at the level of this, but at the same time not surprised, because what did my dad prophesy would be coming? Now, I had been really focused on the World Economic Forum because they are part of that for sure. It's more than just what's happening in Israel. This Fourth Reich is a global thing, and it's lining up with biblical prophecy and biblical eschatology as well. And so that's where you need to speak to my mother. And she actually, you need to be watching very closely, my mom, because she's looking through that Bible and she is figuring things out, and she'll start explaining it with scripture. She's going to be doing that this coming week again. And we are continuing to do so, of course, every week on current events. And so you don't want to miss current events. This Saturday, it goes up Saturday after midnight sometimes. So if you go to the House of Destiny Network, and we have an app as well. Are you going to just do it for me? Okay, you can just do it. We have an app as well. Also search House of Destiny in the App Store. And the prophecy database is also in there. You can watch straight from the app. That's the best way to watch us uncensored, because we do deal with censorship issues, as you can imagine. And I'm sure you're seeing all the stuff about the banks that's going on. I'm just barely hearing about it, but there's more banks failing. We actually, even in my own bank app this weekend, it said that there might be some delays in deposits. And I was thinking there was a problem with banks. And then, we were debanked, which I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that before, but that happened to our ministry a couple of years ago. We had banked with Bank of America for years, 20 years or more, the ministry. And all of a sudden they contacted our accounting and said, we no longer want to bank with you. And of course we were asking, well, why? What have we done wrong? We didn't do anything. We can't think of a thing. It's not like we're that big of an organization. We're a small little ministry. But of course, my dad was who he was, and I have not shut up about what he prophesied. And so that gets a lot of people irritated, and especially our stance on a lot of things. Whatever it was, they never told us, but they said, no, you can't bank with us anymore. So we had to move to a different bank. So we have been debanked. So anybody else who's dealing with that, that's a new phenomena in this new world, is that you can be debanked if you think things the bank doesn't like. And if you are vocal about saying and thinking things that the bank doesn't think, then they will debank you, and they don't care about losing money. So that's quite concerning when we're looking at the big picture. I do hope that seeing these prophecies has given you some hope today. I hope that you get hope. But I do, because my dad saw it being overcome. You saw what he said about the short war, and I've followed that for years, trying to understand where that might fit in. Did I miss a short war somewhere? Has that prophecy not come to pass? I'm not sure. For years I felt that way. Now it's starting to make sense, and this is how prophecy works. So I'm hoping next week I'll be able to play. It's all going to depend on what happens with Trey Smith, and I'm pretty sure Trey's coming on, so I won't have too much time. But I do at some point want to bring here on this show, not put on Prophetic Rewind, is have a look at what he was prophesying from London and Paris in 2015, because he was seeing the moon and the stars. and a cloud, and it was quite interesting. But I knew I wasn't going to have time for that one today as well. So we'll hit that up next week, maybe, or the week after, depending on when Trey Smith comes. But he will be here next week. And also Robert and Jamie Aggie from Banners for Freedom. And we'll get to hear what do they do? What are they up to? They're on an adventure, so much so that they couldn't come on the show today. Well, I told them not to because they were going to try to do it from where they were. And I said, no, just do what you're doing and then come and tell us what happened. So I don't want to ruin the surprise. Do join me here next week for that. Again, follow our social medias and we'll keep you updated if it's confirmed, but it pretty much is. And then also, just so everybody knows, this week we've got Prophetic Rewind. Tomorrow we've been covering the Israel prophecies. I did a keyword search in the prophecy database on Israel, and my dad prophesied about Israel 266 times. So that's 266 different dates that he prophesied and used the word Israel. So I've been going through those, and as I'm finding things that I think I'm praying about it too. I pray and I ask God to show me what do I share. Every week I do that with Prophetic Rewind. I've been doing that for 7 years now. So, and I've got so much footage of my dad, but sometimes we repost things if we feel like, okay, you don't want to have to go searching for it. Just have a look at this because now it's happening. So I will have that up tonight. So tomorrow you'll be able to see more Israel prophecies, and that's on Prophetic Rewind. And you can go to kim.tv, or you can find Prophetic Rewind on the website or on YouTube, on Rumble. We're everywhere. If you do follow the Kim Clement Twitter account, because it's got its own Twitter account, and we are trying to grow there because we're not censored as much there. Of course, we know it's called X now, but you can follow do we not have that? Okay, well, I think is it at Prophet Kim Clement?
Yeah.
It should be the same as what it is on Truth Social. Put up the Truth Social one. We're on Truth Social too. So anyway, any of these, you just look for Kim Clement, the official ones. That's us, and then you'll see coming up what you'll be able to watch. But you can see Prophetic Rewind tomorrow, and then Tuesday we have Real Life, Real Faith, which is a new talk show that we have at the House of Destiny Network, and I know you're going to love that. That's really good. You can get that on Tuesdays, and then on Wednesdays we have a midweek church service. We've been utilizing this as an additional day to get updates on Israel, because we have Dubi Sabo, who is our dear friend who's worked with our ministry for years. He was a dear friend of my dad. They met. Dubi was his tour guide, and the rest is history. Dubi has stuck with us and been with us for years, and he is in Jerusalem, on the ground in Israel. So sometimes he'll go to Tel Aviv, he'll go wherever, but he has been our news source on the ground in Israel, because we do not trust the media, the way they filter things and put things across. So we watch what we watch, but then we go to Dubi and say, okay, what are you seeing? And so he's reporting to us from the ground in Israel every Friday on Israel Update. You can put that up. So if you want to watch Israel Update, don't miss it, because Christy Desfontaine hosts it, and Dubi joins her. And this is a way for you to see the information. We're getting it directly from them. So you need to see that. And we're going to be having that on Wednesdays as well. So watch our Wednesday broadcast, which is a church service. So every Wednesday, just go there no matter what and have some church with us. And then I think that's oh no, we got Charlie Jordan played bass with my dad, and prophesied and ministered with him for 17, almost 20 years. And so every time you see my dad prophesying in those videos, you'll see a black man with a bass guitar behind him. That is Charlie Jordan. And I know you guys already know that, but just in case, I'll make sure that he gets the credit he deserves, because he does. And Charlie has a show on Thursdays now at the House of Destiny Network. I'm so excited. It's called Prophetic Perspectives, and you can either type in perspectives.video, like you see there at the bottom of the screen, or you just go to our network and you'll find it. And so that's everything. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's all on the network. And then, of course, we're here on Sundays. So I think I've covered all of that. Also, My Pillow. Do we have any graphics for them? Oh, we need to get some. We did have it before, but we don't anymore. So we'll need to get those. But we do have. We are sponsored by MyPillow, and so if you are wanting to buy any of those kind of things, I would encourage you to, instead of going to Target or to Bed Bath and Beyond, you can go to MyPillow and you can support a Christian in the marketplace, and Mike Lindell, who's worked very hard. He's working very hard under much scrutiny, and he's been mocked and treated so terribly, and he's such a good man. And you'll get a discount if you type Kim Clement in the promo code. Just all one word, KIMCLEMENT. If you type that in, you'll get a huge big discount at MyPillow. So I do encourage you, if you're buying towels, sheets, or any of those kind of things, go to MyPillow and use our promo code and you'll get a discount. And then you'll be supporting the ministry that way too, a little bit. It's just a little bit. It does something. And it really matters to us to be supportive of those kind of things. And also American-made products is another thing that I'm seeing around, and I'm very supportive of that, because America has become far too reliant on foreign everybody making everything from our medicine to our clothing to everything is made somewhere else. And we need to be, really supporting American businesses and really building up an economy again that is with the people. Now, I have something else I want to share with you, and that is we have a new book, and now it's out. Yay! This is Prophetic Revelations, a collection of letters from the pen of Kim Clement. Now, I actually haven't been talking too much about it because I'm waiting for my own hard copy to arrive, so I don't have a copy of it. But for those of you who have been following and waiting for this is my dad was just a great writer. He kept a journal. He wrote every day. He wrote beautiful emails and letters to people. And so we've collected some things that he wrote and put it in a book. And I know it will inspire you and bless you through this very, very difficult time. Also, if you want to get some music, I wanted to show them. But just go to that Israel is Forever. There's an Israel is Forever album that my dad, you see that right there? There's a QR code. I know a lot of you don't like those QR codes, but we find them to be quite useful, and I haven't found any danger in them yet that's more dangerous than anything else we're using. So you can put your phone's camera up to those QR codes and a link will pop up. So act like you're going to take a picture, but don't take a picture. But put it up to your camera screen, up to that QR code, and it'll give you a link, and you click it, and it takes you to a website. And so that's going to take you to iTunes, where you can buy the Israel is Forever Attitude album, which is an awesome album. There's also the first Israel is Forever album. My dad actually did a beautiful instrumental album called Freedom for the Soul, which was his final album. It's an instrumental. And really, over the years, I've played that. There were times where I played it all night long, where there were just outrageous demonic attacks that happened to me after my dad died and while he was sick, and I was playing that album like all night, just had it playing while I was asleep in bed and just kept it playing. And it's that's a really good album to heal also. And so I do encourage you to have a look for some of those things. You can look on iTunes for Kim Clement. So I know I've covered everything now. Also, one last thing, and that's another sponsor we have is BH-PM, and that's Beverly Hills Precious Metals, with Andrew Sorcini, who's actually a friend of mine. And I do really love Andrew Sorcini. He's a great person, and he's got that kind of brain that you want to listen to what he has to say about gold and silver. I know people are very uncertain in this economy. It is just terrible. I'm telling you, I go to the grocery store and I'm looking at things like, I can't believe you're charging me $5 for milk in Tennessee. What am I paying for eggs? My mother has chickens, so I get my mother's chicken eggs. But if you look at how much it costs, it's outrageous. To eat in America shouldn't cost this much. So the QR code is the 666, does it? Oh dear. I really don't want to have anything to do with that, and I'm not too clued in on some of this technology. That's just been something we've been using, and I just sort of felt like, well, so is www for the internet 666, and I'm just gonna, if it's a tool of the enemy, I'm gonna use it for good and try to shine some light in there. But you don't have to use the QR code if you feel uncomfortable. You just go to the websites, or just go to iTunes and search Kim Clement, or go to houseofdestiny.org. There's other ways. We just put that up there. So I'm just just having a look. Everybody knows Charlie. You guys must watch his show. Watch what Charlie's doing. He's so anointed. He's so great. I just love Charlie Jordan. That's good, Patricia Wade. She says, I believe that the Lord is watching us collectively and individually. Now, if I read a comment, can I show it? Oh, look. I love that. There she is. You're so pretty, Patricia. Thank you. I believe that the Lord is watching us collectively and individually. Are we acting like cowards, afraid to fight for justice and fairness? Or are we uniting and fighting against injustice? Now, that's what it comes down to, is what is just and what is not. And God is just. And so that's what we seek, his will, and that we are aligned with that. And the way you are aligned with that is by having a relationship with him yourself. And it does go back all the way down to individuality and to the individual choice. And then what happens around, and it builds from there. And we see the result of choices. You know, your choices that you make will affect your descendants. And so the sins of the father are visited on the third and fourth generation. And but the blessings exceed to 1,000 generations, do they not? So I know it's been a little low key today. I'm really bummed over what's happening in Israel over there. I'm just and all of everything that's going on. It's just so much injustice that it does weigh on you. But I know that God is with us. And look at these prophecies. At least we have these prophecies from my dad. And then you have someone like my mother, who I'm very grateful for, who's keeping an eye on the eschatology, which has always been a little beyond me, a little bit difficult for me to keep up with, but I am getting there. And so I am truly understanding of Ezekiel 38 at this point, and I wasn't before, so I'm grateful for that. You know, you read things, but you don't really know what they all mean. And so we've all had some very deep Bible digging that has made us better Christians, if nothing else. Right, Muslims only believe that Jesus is a prophet. And that's also the same with the Jewish people. They also only believe that. But you know, look, the bottom line for us Christians, the way we need to handle this is, are we with Jesus? You know, because I'm seeing so many Christians arguing and fighting right now over things that, although they may be important theologically for us to grasp and understand these things, at the same time, I think we're in a place where everybody needs to just say, look, if we have this kind of enemy coming against us, where leaders of countries are literally calling for the extermination of Jews, for death to America and to Christians, and now it's not just select Muslim groups, but just masses of youth shouting things they don't understand. You know, this is quite interesting. Someone's talking about Clay Clark did an interview with Joseph C. It's very interesting. And another thing I'm seeing you guys talking about there are the real Jews. You know, there's a lot. We did the Khazarian mafia thing, and I actually just found, this was by chance, I found an image that looked like something my dad prophesied. I had no idea it had any connection to Jewish people at all. But what I have found is there's a lot of deception in regards to that. And so I have been very, very careful not to jump the gun, but to really observe. And I think for a lot of us, I would advise to do that as well. That don't be too eager to jump in and start shouting things all the time, especially because it's so easy to do that on social media. I'm definitely guilty of that. But I am really trying to restrain and to observe and to be wise. And I think this week that's something we should really do. Let's seek for calm, clarity, and let us step back for a moment and observe. And I do believe Lucifer is the angel above Lebanon, controlling the principality. Yeah, that is very interesting. John Argue, thank you very much. Ezekiel 26-27. My mother's been talking to me about Ezekiel 27 as well. So that's interesting too. So, okay, guys, let's get into our Bibles and really look again. You know, you often think, I say this about my dad's prophecies, but I also mean this about any prophecy and then anything you see in the Bible. Do have another look, because you think, oh, I've read it 1,000 times, I know what it means. But then you're in a situation like we are now and your perspective changes. And then you look again. And so I played those prophecies for you again today because we're seeing more of it, but we're feeling hope now because God was saying, my dad was prophesying and God was saying about that it would be taken care of over and again, that this Fourth Reich would rise and fall. And you're even seeing people like Bernie Sanders, who one day is all pro-Hamas, anti-Israel, which is so confusing when Jewish people do that. And then the next day he changed his mind because more stuff came out. So a lot of people just jumping ahead and saying things. And so I am not going to do that. And I encourage you guys this week to just be with me and let us calmly observe as we navigate through this with wisdom. And so with that said, I do love all of you. Thank you so much for joining me again. And I will see you again. You can go ahead and do it. I was just so I will see you again next week, and we will probably have Trey Smith with us. So that should be very interesting. He's got stuff to say about Saudi Arabia, and I want to hear that. And we want to hear about their adventure and what they did today. So I'm very excited to hear that. So thank you again for joining me, and we'll see you next week on Code Breakers Live.
Solved a problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft, but then you get them home and they wind dry you. That's why I made my towels. They actually work, they're soft, and they absorb. And now I'm excited to announce 2 brand new lines of my towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Shapir cotton. This is a combed ring spun cotton that makes my towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sale price as low as $29.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get my towels for only $29.98. Or you can get my designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% now on all my towels. They actually work. What a concept. This offer won't last long, so please order now.
MyPillow.com. The House of Destiny are partnering with you to let our viewers, of course, know about your company. It's Beverly Hills Precious Metal.
Andrew, explain how that works.
So I'll walk you through it right now. So if you go to bh-pm.com, right there on the homepage, you'll see a form that you could fill out. And that form is very important in letting us know how we can help you. So you just put in your first name, last name, email address, phone number. There's a section that says, how did you hear about us? And in there, put Kim Clement. And then there's a portion where you could write a couple of notes down on the bottom. Usually within about 24 to 48 hours, we'll contact you by phone call, and then we'll go over everything with you. This isn't a high pressure deal. We always recommend that if you feel uncomfortable, take a step back, pray about it. You will gain the answers that you need by doing that, and come back to us when you're comfortable.